So did anybody get over to Theosophist yesterday? Anybody go for the first time? Oh, yeah, lots of you. Great. That was fun. Got to talk to a lot of people. My job was to hand out bookmarks. We had some new ones made of our 12 spiritual powers. And I just wanted people to know how wonderful they were, and here was their superpower. So if they had some kind of issues coming up for them in the next week or so, they might want to just take a look and see which one would support them in whatever they're dealing with. And I was amazed at how many people, first of all, said, next week, how about today? I could use this, I could use this, I could use this. I said, okay, let's just jump right in. And one of the comments that they made regularly was, wow, that's so positive. And I thought, yeah, I guess that's who we are, right? Focus on the qualities of God within us and how to set them free, how to live from them. And I kind of realized at the end of the day, there were a lot of people there. Now, this was at a mind, body, spirit expo kind of thing. So I just kind of assumed they were all like us. And that meant to me that they knew about this potential that they had within themselves. But I got the feeling that there were a lot of people there who didn't know that. And so I had a chance to chat just a little bit more than I was expecting to. And it was fun. And, you know, they had a real positive experience with it and wanted to know more, so that I'd send them over to Amanda and Claire. You know, they'd tell them a little bit more about it, give free stuff away. It was really fun. And it made me think of what we started with last week when I got back from my sabbatical. I had you fill out little forms, and one of the questions that I asked you was, when it comes to applying spiritual principles to life's problems, which problem has you stuck? We talk about spiritual principles here regularly and how to practically apply them. That's kind of the core of what unity is about. So I wasn't surprised to see that you had some problems. You know, some of them were pretty big ones. But I understand when we get caught up or trapped or hooked on a problem to the point where we can't quite piece it together, how to take what we're learning here at Unity and apply it to some of these things in our life. And when I looked at all the problems that were listed on your forms, they kind of fell into four groups. My brain naturally wants to sort things. And so the four groups were either problems about ourselves, or problems about dealing with others, or problems in the world, or problems experiencing more of the greatness of God in us. And so we're going to break those down over the next 4 weeks. And today we're going to focus on the self category of how to deal with these problems within myself in order to experience more of the divine in our life. And the things that fell in that category up here on the screen were things like impatience and anxiety and, trying to lose that extra 10 pounds again and again and again, dealing with addictions in our life, dealing with aging in the body. Someone talked about how fast the world is changing and trying to keep up with that. And those tended to be things that we struggled with stopping in our life. And then the others were more about starting. So how can I be more consistent, or you might say disciplined in your life? How can I get a better sense of direction where I'm going? How can I take better care of myself and love myself more? And again, I see these in two different categories, which reminded me of what the Apostle Paul wrote about in the scriptures when he said, I have these problems where I keep doing the things I don't want to do, and I can't do the things that I do want to do. Can you relate to that? That's kind of what these were up here, one or the other, in one of those two categories. And I would like to say I'm going to be able to address all those individually here in a 20-minute message and solve all your problems, but no, that's not going to happen. But first of all, I just want to make sure that you know that therapy is a good thing. I spent 20 years in California, mostly San Francisco, and if you weren't in therapy, there was something wrong with you. So consider that as a path to help you through some of these stuck things. Consider a life coach, consider a 12-step group, and keep coming back here. Because at some point, to me, all those problems boil down to one thing. And I don't want to diminish what your issues might be, but I truly believe that this is the core. We're all having an identity crisis. So some of you may be like, come on, it's more than that. But there it is. I really think that if we can truly understand this, then it's about moving into that new identity. When we look at that list of problems and it feels like either a negative experience that rubs us the wrong way, we know it's negative because it doesn't feel good when we're dealing with it, or we're just feeling like we're held back and we can't take that next step to evolve in our life. To me, either one of those, when it brings up that sense of discomfort in our being, that's just simply our higher self, our spiritual self, our true self, knocking, trying to get us to open the door to come in more deeply into who we really are and see what that higher self has to say. And to me, that's the identity that we are seeking to attain. Now, the way that Eric Butterworth describes it, he wrote this article called Superconsciousness, and he said, the Christ self of us, the genius of us, the God self of us, that which is the master within us, this is the wholeness of us. We're here to unfold the God person that we're created to be and assume the position of mastery. Mastery. You may have heard spiritual beings that used to be here and they mastered something and they became ascended masters. You've heard that terminology? Yes. We can all be that. We can all be ascended masters, but we have to start by being masters here on this playing field. And it's an opportunity that is constantly knocking at the door. You know, we mentioned Jesus as our way shower, as someone who came in and had the same elements to work with. He had a body just like you and I. He had a brain that pretty much, you know, does all the thinking for us. He had emotions like you and I. And yet, he mastered them all because he lived from an identity of spirit. I and the Father are one. And whether you believe he walked on water, turned water into wine, raised people from the dead, raised himself from the dead or not, in my opinion, it doesn't really matter whether you believe it or not. What matters is, do you believe it's possible? And I do. I say it's possible because I know that the kingdom of heaven is here on earth. The spiritual dimension is right here with us on this earthly dimension. We just aren't aware of it most of the time. And we can't see it. We can't really experience it with our physical senses. So it's something we have to know in consciousness. And it's when we move into that realm on a regular basis that we can start experiencing mastery over. Thy kingdom come, thy will be done on earth as it is in heaven. Not up there, not sometime later. Jesus said the kingdom of heaven is within you. It's at hand now. So it's just waiting to be lived, but we have to be that citizen that lives naturally in spirit, even while we're in the physical body, and that is no small task. And even though Jesus came into that physical realm and experienced the mind, the body, and the emotions, he became a spiritual being expressing the fullness of the Christ potential within him. So he showed us how. That was one of the things he said was, do as I'm telling you to do. Follow me. You can do the same things. So we're going to look at these three parts of ourselves that are human and see how we can identify less with them and more with who we are as spiritual beings. Is that okay? All right, so of course the first thing that's most prevalent in our minds is our bodies, because it's right here, we feel it, we see it, we look at it every day. We feed it, we move it moves us. Sometimes it doesn't want to move, and then we don't move. Sometimes it's in charge, right? Anybody who has experienced some kind of an addiction will know, in their mind anyway, this body's in charge, and that's my problem, is getting beyond what it wants to do. It's the alarm goes off, you got to go to school. Your body does not, right? Right, guys? You prefer to lay in bed just a little bit longer, and sometimes it wins until mom comes in and says, get up. But for the most part, this body is something that it will decide for us out of habit. But that habit got started with thought. So first of all, we want to address an understanding of the body as something that, yes, is very physical, and yes, can behave in ways that we don't want it to. But at the same time, the master of the body is right here in its midst. This is how we address healing from a spiritual perspective. When you come to one of our prayer chaplains and ask for prayer for healing of the body, their job is to look past your body. Their job is to look at the spirit within you. Did you know right now there's this blueprint for your body that has instructions for every single of your trillion cells in your body? And it's kind of layered and intertwined with the physical, and it's constantly sending out information. Do this today, cell. Do this today, cell. Do this today. However, if we choose to do something else with our mind or our bodies that take us out of alignment with that, if we tend to let the world out here stress us out, then no longer can the cells communicate with that spiritual guidance, and that's when illness sets in. But the same thing with addiction, the same thing with aging, with tiredness, is that there is an instruction manual built in here that's telling us how to live from a state of well-being. But if the cells can't communicate, then that's when we experience dis-ease in the body. So what we're trying to do here is train the body to listen to the master. You are not your body. I am not my body. Say that out loud. I am not my body. I have a body. I have a body. Okay? So start with that premise, and then remember, I am master because I am spirit. And as spirit, I am master over my body. As spirit, I am master over my body. Say that. As spirit, I am master over my body. And first and foremost, I love you, body. Just put your hands on your heart here for a minute and say that. I love you, body. Thank you. Grateful for you. I just marvel at the fact that our heart has been beating before we were born. That's good, in case you didn't know that. So when we're talking about healing, we're talking about shifting into the master's consciousness. And technically, that's mental. That's mind that we have to work with. And so the mind is just as involved as the body most of the time. So we want to take a look at that mind and put it in its proper perspective. Most of the time, the mind is thinking its own thoughts from yesterday and the day before. And if you don't like where your life is at right now, then that's a clue that that mind needs to be retrained, because it's the director usually of where we're going and how we're feeling, what we're doing with our body, but also what we're thinking with our mind. In the list that you showed of problems related to the mind, it was things like, I want to be more consistent. That's a mental thing. I want to be more disciplined. That's a mental thing. I want to feel more clear about where I'm going, have more purpose. That's a mental thing. This issue with change, constant change, and struggling with that is a mental thing. So I'm going to ask you to take a look at what thoughts are regularly repeating themselves in your mind that are responsible for that feeling of inconsistency, undiscipline. Can't figure out how to take care of ourselves because we feel like we don't deserve that. That's a belief. That's a thought. And the problems that come up from that are things that can be addressed because you are not your brain. Say that. I am not my brain. I'm not my brain. Come on, say it louder. I am not my brain. See how it's so wily. It's like, no, don't say that. There's a thought for you. Yeah, so one of the things that Eric Butterworth says about this, he says, we think reactively. We think about things rather than thinking creatively. When he says reactively about things, then that's just natural. Your senses communicate to your mind adds meaning to it, and then you've got emotion that follows in behind, and it keeps you from doing things, or it makes you do things that you don't want to be doing. So just take a breath there and realize that it's not about stopping that thing or starting that thing. It's more about turning within and thinking about your true identity. I am master over my mind. Say that with me. I am master over my mind. And when we're talking about master, we're not talking about the brain master. We're not talking about the thinking master. We're talking about spirit mind, spirit master. And that part of ourself is just waiting to lead, but we have to give way to it. That's one of the things about our spirit, is that it's soft and gentle. It's not pushy. So we are not, as spiritual beings, we are not coming into this experience going like, all right, out of my way, I'm in charge, everybody's going to do it the way I think you should do it. I wish that that's the way that the divine mind worked in us. But for the most part, in this physical dimension, the brain wins, the body wins, and so we've got to learn to just notice when it gets out of control and redirect it with new thoughts. So your listed items that you considered problems for you, impatience, anxiousness, helplessness, addiction, abusiveness, these are all thoughts that come up because we're holding certain beliefs. We don't have negative thoughts that we haven't practiced many times before. And so when they come up, it's our opportunity to ask ourselves, is that true? Is that based on the spirit of me being the master here? Keep in mind that that divine law is just working against us most of the time. When we're starting off with a negative thought in the morning, then we can give it enough energy that it just follows us all day long and keeps adding on top of it. So now we're noticing the thinking, and we're choosing for ourselves at this point, is there another option? Just right now, I know this might be hard for you to believe, but right now, you have an inner genius. You have an inner genius. It is the divine mind that knows all, that has the solution for everything. And when the ego is tempted to criticize and judge, your inner genius has a better solution, has a better point of view, but it won't barge in. We have to turn within and make that connection. You know, we practice the negative thoughts, so they come up without even working at it. How about this? Let's follow what Jesus said to do. When his disciples were saying, where are we going to get our next meal? You know, where are the clothes that we need to wear? And he's like, whoa, whoa, whoa. His words were, stop thinking about it. Stop thinking about it. I think in the King James Version it says, take no thought about those problems. That right there is a huge challenge, right? Because that's the brain's job, to think, and think what you thought before. Take no thought about the problem. Instead, seek first what? The kingdom. What does that even mean? Seek first heart. What else? Seek first love. Seek first the spiritual dimension that's right here with us. Seek first the fact of your true identity. I am spirit. That's seeking first the kingdom. Wait a minute. I forgot. I'm spirit. I'm not susceptible to lack or limitation or sickness. I'm already perfect, whole, and complete. That's that human ego that I'm residing with, but is not who I am. That's that physical body that I'm living in, but I am not. I am spirit, perfect, whole, and complete. I have the answers. Now, immediately, ego wants to say, well, that's arrogant. Well, that just depends on how it's coming out of you and what the meaning is behind it. So let's try this. When Jesus said, take no thought, seek first the kingdom, what are some kingdom thoughts that we can put our mind on? Christina, would you turn the temperature up a little bit? Thank you. What are some kingdom thoughts that we can put our mind on? Start with an I am. I am enough. Anybody daring enough to say, I am God in expression? That's new, right? If that doesn't work for you, how about saying, I am an expression of God? Will your ego let that one go by? I am an expression of God. What's your question? Okay, give me an answer. Okay, repeat it only like twice as loud. I am the most myself. Okay, somebody else will have to say it for me. Do you want to take a microphone and do that for me? Okay, you want to run it to him? It's right there. And I'll come back to you. What else can we do? Kingdom, kingdom, kingdom. What's a kingdom thought? What's a spiritual thought about ourselves? The Father and I are one. Yes, if you've seen me, you've seen the Father. Now tell me. Hold on one second. Vadim?
I am the most myself, and no one can be more than me.
Take that one in. I am the most myself, and no one can be more than me. Is that right? Yeah. Beautiful. Wow. I can take you home with me. Yes. Anybody else have a thought? Margie?
Divine love flows in me and through me.
Yes, it does. Thank you. What else can we put our mind on? Redirect our thoughts. There's one in the back. Thank you, Sherry.
I am made of God's substance.
I am made of God's substance. That's a good one when you're dealing with healing issues in the body, that the very energy of life in your body is divine, and there is no sickness in it. Now, when the energy slows down and becomes flesh that you can touch, and it's actually being birthed out of substance, then it can experience something less than wholeness. But the thing that's in between it, between wholeness and sickness, is consciousness. So this is partly about us staying in tune with the truth about that divine substance. I'm going to look at that because what we look at expands. So we may not need to have an answer about how to fix everything. All we need to do is turn towards that which is already whole and look at that and appreciate that, give thanks for that, and be that. Be that spiritual master that we are. Anyone else want to come up with a kingdom thought? Got one? Okay. Okay. So one of the things Eric Butterworth says here is that the mind that is crowded with the known is not capable of releasing the flow of the unknown. Now, I know a lot of us can be scared of the unknown, or at least uncomfortable about it, but that's where all our solutions are, is in the unknown. It's those thoughts that haven't been thought yet. They're the answers that Spirit is seeking to give us. So we have to make way for them to flow, and they're not going to if we just keep hanging on to those old same thoughts we've thought before. That in order to be the most that we are, we have to say yes to that and get out of its way to let it do that, to let divine ideas flow, let go of those habitual thoughts. If you have been thinking them habitually and you've still got the same problem, how is that working for you? Time for a new one. That my true identity is spirit, and my true answers are spirit, and I now make way for spirit. A lot of us think that in order for us to hear spirit, we have to think and figure and solve and analyze, but really you do nothing. Take no thought. You do nothing. You get still and know the God in you. So our bodies, our minds can be mastered through our spirit, and the last piece of our humanity that tends to get in the way is our emotions. Some of us know ourselves as, we kind of pride ourselves on the fact that we're a feeling person. We're not a head person, we're a heart person. But sometimes the heart can be a broken heart, sometimes the heart can be, overprotective heart. And so those emotions that come up, not so helpful, not an expression of who we really are. So this challenge is about knowing, as spirit, you are master over your emotions. And I'm going to guess that there's a part of you that knows where your set point is emotionally. Do you know what I mean by that? It's where you ride around most of the time. What's your typical daily emotion? What do people know you by? You're the crabby one. Oh, yeah. She's the anxious one. He's the bossy one. So those emotions that come out of us are something that take root and they kind of become our personality, but they didn't get started there when you were born. They actually came over time as you learned how to defend yourself and protect yourself. No emotion comes up of itself. It comes from a meaning that you're holding in your consciousness, conscious or subconscious. That's where our emotions come from. So when you're feeling emotions that don't feel good, this is your chance to check in and say, okay, what meaning am I holding to this situation? Because it's always, it's that person, it's that situation, and it's got power over me. There's a belief. It's got power over me, or it can take my good from me, or maybe it's the belief I'm not good enough, or there's not enough good, and those bring up the sense of anxiety or anger where you tend to live most of the time. So keep in mind that those moods are just permitted emotions. Moods are permitted emotions. Who's permitting them? Just saying. Yeah. So one of the things that we can do about this is wake up in the morning. I don't know about you, but I need help in the morning. So I have this sign up here on my dresser, kind of right in my eyes view, that says happy, but it says more than happy. Can you see what it says over here on the side, sideways? Choose happy. Choose happy. Again, this probably won't overtake you unless you just are one of those naturally sunshiny people. But choose happy, that we can all do. And you may say, not with what's going on in my life. And I'm saying with what's going on in your life, we can all choose happy. The reason that we have convinced ourselves we can't choose happy is because we believe that the thing that's happening in our life has the power. And so, as used to responding negatively to our family, and now we know we're going to go see that family member, before we even get in the car, we're mad, right? And then you come in the door for a family party, it's like, hello. Somebody didn't choose happy. What if, before you leave the house, you plan ahead? You know when there's going to be trouble, right? So let me think, last one from Eric Butterworth. We must be as alert to the matter of preparing ourselves for experiences and relationships in the world as a musician is to tuning his instrument before a performance. So think about that. You're just about to go into a situation, maybe at work, maybe it's dealing with your bank, maybe it's dealing with the family members, maybe you're going to see a doctor. Who do you want to be? Which identity do you want to walk into this situation from? Higher self or lower self? Natural joy or contrived, permitted emotions that don't feel good? I am spirit and I am master over my emotions. Say that with me. I am spirit and I am master over my emotions. Just keep in mind that you can only be upset if you're already upsettable. What I mean by that is, what's your energy? Are you naturally already upsettable? Have you already decided that something in the world here is against you and has power over you? That's a good reason to feel upsettable. But if you've planned ahead and you know you're walking into one of those situations that tend to be a problem, decide who I'm going to be, where my power is, who's my source. How many sources do we have? What do I mean by source? That provider of all our good, the essence of our very well-being. There's only one source. It's of spirit. It's everywhere present. It's infinite in nature. It's yours. It's who you are. It's how we can live from that state of consciousness. But again, this is a choice. So know that you are stepping out in life daily, facing changes daily, facing challenges daily, but you can still have this free will opportunity. Remember, Spirit's not going to overtake you. It's a free will moment where you can decide how you're going to approach this situation for your body, for the busyness of your mind, for the upset of the emotions. You can choose differently because you are master, not a victim. You have the ability to make your own choices. So when we go back here on this list of problems, let's just take a look at a few of these and ask ourselves, what do we know about spirit that is master over these issues? When we're impatient, what do we also have within us that can overcome that? Peace. You know, impatience is a common thing for people, and it's usually subliminally, it's a subconscious thing. We get impatient knee-jerk reaction that we talked about last week because we think their slowness is keeping us from our good. That's it. It's not that complicated. So we have to catch the belief behind it and realize they're not my source of good. If I don't get there on time, or if I don't get that thing show up when I want it to, there's still only one presence that provides my good, and it's not them. So now I can just chill and relax. There's peace within me. There's provision within me. Weight loss is a struggle against our bodies. You know what the number one thing our body wants from us? Love. Love. That's something you have the power to generate, and your body is always listening. When we are, and the same thing with addiction, you know, we have been taught to hate ourselves because we're addicted to something, or hate other people because they're addicted to something. What if instead we started with love? That there's nothing that you can do that takes you outside the realm of love. And we'll, instead of giving attention to the addiction, we'll give attention to I am spirit, untouched by addiction. That is not my nature. That is not who I am. That's a behavior that this body or this mind is going through, but it is not who I am. I'm going to focus on who I am. I'm going to become addicted to who I am as spirit. Simplified answer to something that's why I said go back to the beginning with therapy, with 12-step groups, with life coaches to help. Aging, some of us are at that stage where we start to see our bodies being less productive than we want it to be. And that can bring up a sense of fear. What do we have within us that contradicts that? I am eternal. Yes. I am infinite. I am unlimited. I am holy. I am sacred. I am ageless. Yes. Yes. Keep putting your attention on the powers within you that you want to be instead of the things that seem to be dwindling in you. How about with the changes, how we deal with changes, and what is the fear around change? You won't be able to handle it. You don't know how. You're asking me to move into the unknown, and what if I'm not good enough to take this on? What if you are? If you're going to live in a question that hasn't been answered yet, let's live in a question that has a really good answer to it. What if I am able to handle whatever comes my way? How can I depend on that? Because I am spirit, divine mind, pure intelligence. I got this covered. I am spirit. I am master. Oh my God, my powers is coming into me. All right. Your consistency and discipline, it's like continuing to keep up with those tasks that I set for myself. You have one of your divine powers is will, and another one is strength. So your will is the chooser that says, I will do this. I will set a goal that I know will be good for me, and I will do this. And then your strength comes in and sweeps up when your will says, okay, I'm kind of tired right now. I don't really want to do this. Then your strength comes in, oh, we're going to keep doing it because I have the power of strength within me, and I am master over this commitment. And the clarity and direction is like, where do I go next? What do I do next? What do we have within us? Wisdom. Divine understanding, divine imagination, divine enthusiasm. These will all help to point us in the right direction of what do I do next. It's not like, oh, I have that so I can relax. It's like, no, become that in your mind, in your heart, in your meditations. You just sit there and think, my mind is so creative. The ideas just flow through me, and then just sit with that idea for a while, quietly, and see what comes up in you. Self-care. If we don't take care of ourselves, if we don't set boundaries, if we don't produce or provide for ourselves before giving it all away to someone, it's oftentimes because we don't love ourselves. So first and foremost, in that arena, we do want to take time to just wake up in the morning and say, I love you, kitty. Would y'all use my name? I love you. I love you, whatever your name is. Say that to yourself. Say it right now. I love you, kitty. Yeah, good. Yeah, good job. Yeah, and then every few minutes when you think of it, say it, preferably out loud. If you're kind of shy and you're around other people, you can say it to yourself. I love you, kitty. But get it going in your consciousness. Yeah, feeling loved, same thing. The unworthiness can set in at a very early age. Unworthiness is just learned. We've looked out here. We've given it meaning. Based on what we've seen other people experience, we've decided not enough, not enough, not enough, not enough, not enough. So we got a little bit of those to clean out. All we can do is say, I am enough because I am spirit. That person that I think is not enough is not who I am. I am spirit, I am eternal, I am infinite, I am wise. Go down through your 12 powers, speak them aloud, and know the truth of who you are. And that you are greatly loved, and that you are love. You're an expression of divine love. So here's something that we can say together as a way to kind of let this sink in. You know what? How about if you stand up to do this? Get your blood moving a little bit. And as these words come out of your mouth, your ego will be right there to say, no, no, no. And you're like, thank you for sharing. You don't want to hate your ego. You don't want to hate your ego, but you want to put it in its place because you are master. I'm saying, you are the master, not the ego. All right, together? I am more than a physical body. I am spirit and master of this body. I am more than an intellect. I am spirit and master over my thoughts. I am more than my emotions. I am spirit and master over my feelings. I am spirit and master of this human experience and direct my body, mind, and emotions to work for my highest good. I live from the truth and I am set free. Now, just take a little seat right there where you're at, and let's take that inside. Ah, you are masters of the universe. This is a time where we let it start to sink in. That subconscious is so busy repeating the past and interfering. So now we are going to put it in its place, give it new instructions, and allow that spirit that we are to be master. So let's just begin by breathing into our bodies, imagining that it is divine life, and divine life is of God in me. We take a moment to see that pure and perfect light of life flowing down through the top of our heads, through our shoulders and our torso and our legs, out our arms and our hands and our feet and our toes. This body continually flows with divine life. Because the master of life is who I am. No matter what may be happening in your body today, choose to look elsewhere, to the higher realm of your body, to the perfect state of wholeness that your spirit is. Give thanks for that bright life and strength and power. I am spirit, and I am master over the body. And if your mind is racing with thoughts about problems and tasks and responsibilities, look for the pauses between the thoughts. Take up rest in the pauses between the thoughts. Breathe into those pauses to make them longer. And as you think forward into this week to come, ask yourself, what mood will I choose? What feeling do I want to live from? Is it peace? Begin to sit in that energy of peace now. Is it gratitude? Take a moment to find something to feel thankful for now. Is it joy? Let your thoughts land on something that brings you joy and feel that joy now. Now and every moment, I remember this is a universe of love. I'm surrounded by a heart and a mind, a realm that loves me unconditionally. There is nothing I need do but be who I am. I am spirit. And no matter what my body or my mind or my emotions bring me, I am still spirit. Perfect, whole, loving, and loved. I choose this truth to be who I truly am, and I am set free. So it is. Amen.